In Ottawa, the Trudeau Liberals backtrack on banning hunting rifles after Conservatives push back hard.
There are some guns, yes, that we're going to have to take away from people who were using them to hunt.
Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives demand tougher parole rules after random attacks on innocent bystanders in Toronto and Vancouver. Manitoba MP Candice Bergen steps down after a stellar career in Stephen Harper's cabinet, leading the opposition to Justin Trudeau.
I won't be going back into the House of Commons. I'm not really one for long goodbyes.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith pushes back on Ottawa's so-called just transition to shut down the oil and gas industry. Premier Doug Ford puts forth a bold new plan to speed up hip and knee replacements, cataract surgeries, and MRI tests in Ontario. I'm Brianna Sawyers, and here's what's happening in Conservative Canada for the week of February 6th. There were plenty of red faces Friday as Trudeau Liberals backtracked from the Prime Minister's latest attack on law-abiding hunters and firearm owners. As recently as last Christmas, the Prime Minister promised to take hunting rifles away from Canadians.
There are some guns, yes, that we're going to have to take away from people who were using them to hunt.
But Conservatives stood up to Trudeau. On Friday, the Liberals caved in, but they couldn't really explain why.
I'm not asking you about the legislation. I'm asking you why you withdrew the amendment. The Conservatives are saying it's evidence that what you have been saying, what the government has been saying for months, that this didn't affect hunting rifles, that was a lie. What do you say to that?
Well, listen, I've been catching some of the tweets out there that somehow this is a win or a loss. There are no winners or losers when people are dying from gun violence.
Pierre Poilievre and Raquel Dancho said law-abiding gun owners won and the Trudeau Liberals lost.
So after 2 months of the Trudeau Liberal government's lies and deception, Conservatives have forced a temporary pause of Trudeau's hunting rifle ban. This comes after we have seen the most underhanded amendment in the largest hunting rifle ban in Canadian history.
My Conservative team and I have forced Justin Trudeau into a temporary but humiliating climb down today. Trudeau desperately wanted to ban hunting rifles. Not only did he send a Liberal MP in to throw a sucker punch at our lawful and licensed firearms owners by banning their hunting rifles. He was asked specifically if that was his goal, and he said yes.
In the House of Commons, MPs voted on the Conservatives' motion to fix Canada's broken bail system, a system that forces judges to release violent repeat offenders back onto Canadian streets.
Let's look at the tragic murder of Constable Shaylin Yang. She was stabbed to death while on duty by a man previously arrested for assault. He was released on condition that he would appear in court, something which he failed to do. A warrant was issued for his rearrest, but when found living in a tent in a Burnaby Park, he took the life of Constable Yang. He stabbed her to death.
Finlay talked about attacks on women and children and random violence by repeat offenders.
Last December in Surrey, a man with a criminal record including 23 convictions of assault attacked a mother and her 11-month-old child. Last year, a man stole a ferry vessel from Victoria Harbour. He was arrested, released, and was later caught shattering the windows and doors of local businesses. In Vancouver, and we've heard about this before, but it bears repeating, 40 offenders accounted for 6,000 arrests last year. That's an average of 150 arrests each. No one should pretend that this is acceptable.
Conservatives' question to the Liberal public safety minister produced only empty apologies.
But we've heard from every premier in the country asking for changes to the criminal code concerning bail. We've heard from the Toronto Police proposing 3 proposals concerning bail reform. And again, this is all in light of the fact that a young new police officer was killed over the holidays by a violent repeat offender who was out on bail and also had a firearm prohibition. He shot and murdered a young police officer, and I didn't hear anything to satisfy me that they're going to be doing something in the next few weeks, few months to bring forward some change. So I'd like to ask the Minister of Public Safety, what concrete step is he going to take and work with his Minister of Justice to ensure that that's the last police officer that's murdered by a violent repeat offender?
The Honourable Minister. First, Mr. Speaker, I wholeheartedly share my colleague's concern about the loss of Officer Pershala. I grieved with his family, with the entire OPP community, and that was the fifth in a series of months last year, and it was among the most difficult functions that I exercise in this office.
The Liberal Justice Minister could not explain why the suspects in 24 murders in Toronto last year were out on bail when the crimes were committed.
Mr. Speaker, today the Justice Minister said if someone poses a significant threat to public safety, the law tells us they should not get bail. But in reality, Mr. Speaker, in Toronto last year, of the 44 gun murders, 24 of the suspects were out on bail when they committed these murders. Those 24 people clearly posed a threat to public safety, and yet they were out on bail. So when will this minister get his head out of the clouds and commit to reforming our broken Liberal bail system that he helped create, Mr. Speaker?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's a fundamental principle that if a person poses a threat to public security, they should not get bail. Mr. Speaker, that's balanced. That is balanced with the fact, Mr. Speaker, that bail is not only a charter right, but it is a common law right of long date, because in our system, one is innocent until proven guilty.
Manitoba MP Candice Bergen resigned her seat in Parliament after 15 years.
And so with God's grace and God's help, I believe that the best is yet to come.
Candice Bergen served as minister in Stephen Harper's government, going on to serve as Conservative House Leader and Deputy Party Leader, and finally the Leader of the Opposition after Aaron O'Toole stepped down. When Putin launched his invasion of Ukraine, Candice Bergen spoke for Conservatives in the House of Commons.
The federal government has stepped up in the last few days, but there is more that can be done. As they say in Ukraine, Slava Ukraini, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. But let's do more than just say those words. Let's take action now and in the days and the months to come to do the right thing for Ukraine, for Canadians, and indeed for the world.
In Alberta, Premier Danielle Smith is wasting no time telling Justin Trudeau to back off on his war with the oil and gas industry.
We're actually sending clear price signals to industry and to private sector that they have to invest more in decarbonization. This is something that we're focusing on ensuring that these record profits from the oil and gas industry go into investing in decarbonization.
This is why I'm also concerned about Justin Trudeau's just transition, as he calls it, because when I hear the words just transition, it signals eliminating jobs. And for Alberta, that is a non-starter. But the good work gets lost when they use this kind of divisive, polarizing language, because the world is looking for energy, for more petrochemicals, for more LNG. This is not an industry in decline, but it is one of the industries that is strategic to world energy security. And Alberta is one of the most responsible producers of energy in the world and has been for decades. We will continue to advocate on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of workers whose livelihoods depend on this industry. And we expect the federal government to stand up for our world-leading oil and natural gas workers instead of trying to eliminate their jobs.
In Toronto, Premier Doug Ford and Health Minister Sylvia Jones announced a bold new plan to reduce surgical wait times.
But when it comes to your health, we must do more, and we're doing more. Today, we're taking action to reduce wait times for surgeries. We're expanding community surgical and diagnostic centers so you can get surgeries you need faster and closer to home. To start, we're tackling the backlog of cataract surgeries, where we have some of the longest waits. With new partnerships with community, surgical, and diagnostic centers in Windsor, Kitchener, Waterloo, and Ottawa, we're adding 14,000 more OHIP insured cataract surgeries every single year, eliminating approximately 25% of the cataract wait list. And as the minister outlined, We're investing more than $18 million in other centers, adding even more surgeries in existing centers like right here at Kensington, and doing 49,000 more hours of MRI and CT scans. From there, we're going to continue to expand the role of community surgical and diagnostic centers, including by introducing new legislation in February that, if passed, will allow us to keep shortening wait times for you and your family, including for hip and knee replacements and foot surgeries.
Health Minister Sylvia Jones says the plan will pay for thousands of additional surgeries and tests.
New partnerships with community surgical and diagnostic centers in Windsor, Kitchener-Waterloo, and Ottawa will add 14,000 additional cataract surgeries that will be performed each year. We are also investing more than $18 million in existing centers to cover care for thousands of patients, including more than 49,000 hours of MRI and CT scans, 4,800 cataract surgeries, and thousands of other procedures. This bold action will help us clear the entire pandemic backlog for these procedures by March of this year. Step 2 will see the scope of community surgical and diagnostic centers expanded to address needs on a local level with a continued focus on cataracts, as well as MRI and CT imaging and colonoscopy. Step 3 will see the introduction of legislation in February that, if passed, will allow existing community diagnostic centers to conduct more MRI and CT scanning so that people can access publicly funded diagnostic services faster and closer to home. This next step will also expand surgeries for hip and knee replacements starting in 2024.
And let me be clear, all of these services, they'll be available using your OHIP card, never your credit card. My friends, as I said before, the status quo is not acceptable. These aren't just numbers. This change, it represents tens of thousands of people, all with a chronic illness, who will now get the surgery they need sooner every year. A lot of people out there, they want to have the endless debates about who should provide care. All I care about, all Minister Jones cares about, all our government cares about, is that you get the care you need quickly and safely. More surgeries, shorter wait times, all paid for by OHIP.
And that's it for this week. Make sure to sign up for our free email updates. Remember to like and subscribe and stay in the know of what's happening in Conservative Canada.